Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream. Do, shaboom. Life could be a dream. If I could take you up in paradise up above. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello, hello.
My name is Julian Sepulveda Jr. And I've been in business about 45 years. Prior to that, I worked for someone else for about 13 years. And I learned my craft there under this fellow by the name of Art Peel. He actually was a sign painter, but his business evolved into truck painting, and that's where I came in. I mean, I didn't really want to work on trucks. That's what he did, trucks. I wanted to work on cars. But eventually, I found love with trucks. But my heart was always still with cars. So when I started my business, in my free time, I would work on cars. And eventually, I started restoring cars. And that's what we're going to be talking about, this 1953 Chevy Bel Air. I'm very proud of that automobile, which I've deeded. I've given to my grandson, and for him to have and do whatever he wants to do with it. It's a beautiful, beautiful car, very classic. And I like the classic cars. I know a lot of the young people that are getting into the muscle cars and all that. But to me, they're not old enough. I like to go back to when I used to drive these classic cars when I was a teenager. And I guess that's kind of nostalgia. I looked and looked and looked, and I'd look in the paper and wasn't so much into the internet yet. And I finally found it in the newspaper, and it was out on the north side of Stockton. I called the fellow and asked him how much he wanted for it. And he said he wanted $3,500. I said, okay, I'm gonna come and look at it. I could see in his eyes that it was hard for him to let go of that car, but he had to let it go because I think they were probably having some kind of a medical problem with his wife or something. And he had been working on it a little bit, not a lot, but he had fallen in love with that car. And so he told me, he says, I want to sell you this car, but he said, try not to chop it all up and make a hot rod out of it. Try to keep it classic. I said, no, my intention is to keep it as a classic. He was going to paint it. I think he was going to paint it like a root beer color. And I said to myself, no, not root beer. That's not my favorite color. So my favorite color is red. It's a Bel Air, and I believe that's the first year, 1953, the Bel Air came out. And my dad had a 53, and maybe there was a little bit of nostalgia also that I wanted to get a car that my dad had bought, and I had learned to drive. We spent a lot of hours on it, and I had someone else do the upholstery. They did that part for me, and then you have to remember that these are 6 cylinders. I mean, not 6 cylinders, I'm sorry, 6 volts. And I had this automotive electrician converted over to a 12-volt system. So that I wanted to make sure it was 12 volt. The first thing I did was pull the engine out, and I had to restore it. It cost me about $3 grand to have the engine restored. And then we put it back in, And then we started doing the body work. You know, there was some rust that we had to take, address. And it probably took us a couple of years off and on. The guys here in the shop here, they would help me. When they got a little slow, they would work. Everybody worked on it, to be truthful with you. And then decided to paint it, you know, red, the bottom red and the top white. Then it has like a little insert in the back quarter panel. It's a white and it says Bel Air, and we're really proud of that. Everything's pretty original, except for maybe a few moldings and the replicas and the Bel Air letters. You can get those, they're refabricated. So those are new. And but most everything else, fender skirts, original, just about everything else. And so I'm really proud of that. The other thing that I'm thinking of is I just smile because the Bel Air hardtop, your rear view mirror actually sits right on your dash. Those are hard to find. And I had a perfectly good mirror, and we had it put away on some old boxes and stuff. And one day, my old foreman, Joe Gonzalez, which I love like a brother, decided to clean up. Started to clean up the shop. And what happened? That mirror went out the door. I called many shops, and they didn't have the internet then, and I never could find another mirror. So I had to settle for a mirror up on top of the windshield. But I was upset with Joe. I could just throw that away. It was all rusty. It's all right, we could have painted it, you know. With the inside, we had the upholstery also all red, the carpeting red, you know, just a real deep red. And then, of course, I ordered white walls, but the large, I think it's 4 or 5 inches wide, original Coopers, I think. And so we put white walls on there. Had to have white walls, the big white walls, you know, they look sharp. You know. Then we did a brake job. I had somebody else do the brake job. I'm not really into the mechanics. I love doing body work and paint. So now we had the 12-volt, we had good brakes, new tires, a new engine, new paint job, and now it was ready to rock and roll. You know? And I showed it off in a few car shows. And then when my grandson, another highlight at Lincoln Village, Lincoln Village Center, a few years back, and my grandson is going to be 20 this year, and the one that's filming right now. And when he was probably about 7, he came to that car show, and he showed up there when I was showing that car amongst many other cars. And he sat in the car. He sat in the car, and I knew that right there and then that was going to be his car. I told him it's going to be your car when you grow up. And he sat there, and people would come and ask him, you know, what kind of car it was. He knew all about it, and he'd share all the different information. He was sitting in that car all night long. He was proud. You know, everybody else was sitting outside. So those are good memories of this '53 Chevy. Been in the family a while, and I think it's probably been since I got it. Probably, I'd say 20 some odd years I've had it. That '53 is, I guess, my first love, and I'm restoring cars. But like I said, right at that time when I went into business, Vanilla Trucking, you know, all their trucks are red, and he was good to me. He would send me a lot of his trucks to paint, and I was impressed with that color, and I got to really liking that color. And then it also reminded me, you know, I always said that red, you know, was the blood of Jesus. So all my shop trucks, when I would buy them, they would be red. And so I decided to paint that car red, you know, because it reminded me of the blood of Jesus, basically. And it's a favorite color of mine. Yeah. The whole shop, you know, is credited. I can't say that I did it all by myself, but you know, I have to give the credit to all the employees. You know, they did a lot of different things. Some of the mechanical stuff, and so everybody pitched in to do, you know. So that, you know, I give everybody the credit, you know, for that. You know. Now I like the color. I like the way it runs. I like the upholstery. I love the way the engine, you know, sounds. I like the stairs where people drive it, and heads turn. And their approval to be able to see a classic car going down the road, and their approval of, wow, what a neat car, And the older people, there's a lot of nostalgia. I remember so-and-so had a car like that. Wow. Those are the rewards, I guess, somebody restoring. Because if you count every hour and every part of what you spent on there, you never recover it. There's no way of keeping track of every hour. Because it's a work of, somebody once said it was a work of love. It really is. You're creating something. It's just like maybe some of these. I can't really compare myself to great artists, but when they painted these famous paintings, if they calculated every hour that they spent painting the Sistine Chapel, there's no way. He lost track of it. Michelangelo lost track of how long it took him to paint that. He was just in awe when he was creating. So you're in awe when you're creating something, and restoring it, you're bringing it back to life. And so that's the joy that you get. Like my grandson, he's very Cito's very mechanically inclined. I didn't realize that, but the joy that he gets just putting in brake fluid and the vehicle and pumping it up and realizing that it's going to stop that vehicle, and then not knowing too much about it, but getting on the YouTube and figuring it out, and the joy of, hey, I did it. I was able to fix this thing, and now it's going to stop, and things like that. Just a lot of joy, If you can get a hold of a classic, keep it original. There's a lot of people that start, cutting them up and adding this and that, and I like to keep things original. Nothing against, other people that want that try to change them a lot, but I like things that are original, and they're appreciated, I believe, by especially I guess with my generation. They appreciate it, and try to keep it original. Thank you for allowing me to just share a few words of encouragement, and thank you for allowing me to look back and reminisce about this project. It took a few years, but enjoyable years, and I'm honored to give this vehicle to my grandson, and I know that he's going to have a lot of fun with it, and I don't think he'll part with it for a long time. Yeah.